Hi, this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. It's June 9th, 2019. And I'm going to tell you throughout all my future segments and probably a few in the past about my experience in jail, right? I mean, I've already made it abundantly clear that I was in there for something I didn't do. I'm sure I've explained to everybody, even though everybody doesn't watch my show, but I've tried to explain to everybody how easy it is to put an innocent man in jail just because you don't like what he has to say, right? I was criticizing the Department of Public Community-Based Services, food stamps, Obamacare. I was talking about how angry they make people. I was talking about how angry the people I talk to are. You know, I talk to all kinds of people and they tell me how angry they are, especially when I used to be allowed to go in there. Now I'm not allowed to go in there because I supposedly threatened to blow the place up or kill somebody. What I actually said was I was talking about how they make people feel, and I said that they make people so angry that sooner or later somebody's gonna want to kill somebody or blow somebody up. Okay, that is, I didn't say it to them, but even if I had, I wasn't saying I was gonna do it or anything. I just said that they're making people angry. I mean, the whole subject of my segment that I was working on that morning, when I was driving down the street and they were listening to me, eavesdropping on me in my car, because I thought they'd put me on hold, and I decided to say all this to my car cam for future reference, and I have the car cam video of me saying this to the car cam. Anyway, so I ended up in jail, right? And I'm going to talk to you a lot about jail itself and the screwball stupidity that is jail. And I'll show you what I don't like Anna from the Young Turks, but I'll show you what she had to say anyway.
Turns out that there's a correctional facility in Maryland that is not following a recently passed law. This law essentially indicates that female inmates need to be given free tampons, free feminine hygiene products for obvious reasons. And apparently a review of the practices at this facility indicate that they're not following the law. In fact, according to the Washington Post, an inmate recently paid $5.69 for a box of 18 supersized tampons. Online retailers actually sell boxes with twice as many tampons for the same price or even less. Now, the Secretary of the Public Safety and Correctional Services in the state, his name is Robert Green, and he's relatively new to the job, says, quote, "I'm taking immediate steps to make sure we are meeting the law. It will be done. This is going to be fixed. We're going to make sure they know they have a choice and at no cost." I mean, this is just common sense, human decency. It is kind of mind-blowing that there needed to be a law passed in order to make this happen. But just to give you an idea of what it's like, or what it was like before this law, every month at the Maryland Correctional Institution for Women, inmates.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to point out is obvious, and that's that this all happened after that law was passed. She just said it. She just said that there was a law passed before, and that these guys were in violation of it. But the fact is that they're all the same. All these jails are the same. They do the same thing. You don't get anything for free. Nothing. Okay, once you're in jail, they charge you to process you. So they charge you for putting you in there. And that's about $23 in the jail I went to. And for that, you get one pair of underwear and a t-shirt. And those are yours. A pair of underwear, and they're kind of like really skimpy boxers. And a t-shirt, which is just a cheap ass t-shirt, you know. And then you have other stuff that you get that's part of the jail. So you have to give it back when you leave. So you get your orange jumpsuit, you get 2 of them. And there's a laundry service once or twice a week. And you get your sheets, and it's freezing in jail. Don't ask me why. Well, it's not actually freezing, but you get really cold if you didn't have that towel. And you get for the money you paid, not for free, you get a little tiny tube of toothpaste, a comb, a little short toothbrush, and a little bar of soap, and a little tube of shampoo, a little bottle of shampoo, and a roll of roll-on deodorant, just a small one. Probably lasts you about 2 or 3 weeks. Probably lasts a normal person just a week or 2 at the most. I made mine last longer. Now, once you're in, what you get on a weekly basis is you get a bar of soap. It's a decent bar of soap. It'll last you a week. Or I'm sorry, every 2 weeks you get a bar of soap, and every week you get 2 rolls of toilet paper. And that's it, man. I mean, you get your food. You get 3 meals a day, and they brag about how cheap they feed us. It's all made from stuff. Boxes come in. People work in the kitchen. Lots of people in my cell with me. Were 12 people to a cell that was made to fit 8 people. And you can tell because they put in 2 extra double bunks to make it 12. But when I was in intake, which is the same thing as the rest of the jail, but then they move you to a more permanent place. Well, when I was in there, somebody waited until you're allowed to go outside of the cell, which holds the 12 people, and walk around. Supposedly, legally, they have to let you do it once a day, but sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't. If something happened and people were fighting or whatever, then they'd just shut the whole place down and you wouldn't get out. Be kind of a collective punishment. But when I was outside the cell just for a few minutes, you get all the stuff in a plastic cup, and I came in, and on my bed, because when you're in intake there's no double bunks, it's just regular bunks, and everybody else is sleeping on the floor, which was really kind of a pain in the ass. You didn't have any place to walk. It was hard to get to the bathroom and stuff like that. We're just piled on top of each other, really. Well, that's a little bit of an overstatement. But anyway, so somebody stole my toothpaste, I don't know, they stole a bunch of my stuff. And, you know, I went to the lady at the tower, because there's a tower. All these cells are all in a circle around the tower, kind of. And she said, well, you know, you're in a jail with a bunch of thieves. You got to expect that, you know, people are going to steal something. But what am I supposed to do? You know, so I couldn't brush my teeth. Fortunately, I don't brush my teeth with toothpaste anyway. So I just brushed my teeth with... They didn't steal my toothbrush. I don't think they stole my comb. Anyway, they stole a bunch of my stuff. When I was finally out of intake, and it's called assessment, I think, and then in regular, what they call general population, which is the same thing. You're still in a 12-man cell, except for you got bunk beds. Everybody's, up off of the floor. And you can anticipate staying there for a while. Although they will screw with people. I mean, people it's amazing how quickly they develop a loyalty to their cell. At one point, they wanted to move a couple of us out of the cell, and people were just going apeshit. Did not want to be moved out of their cell. And they wanted me to go, and I couldn't understand why. They said that I had to go because I was the last one to come down from a top bunk. Well, what the fuck does that matter? Right? I mean, who cares who moved from a top bunk to a bottom bunk? What should matter is there were like 3 or 4 people who'd come in after me. They should be the first ones to go. I mean, first of all, as it turned out, the last person to come in who'd only been there for a day, they hadn't really had time to develop any kind of friendships in the cell, and they left the next night. So, I mean, what would it have mattered if they'd left? But these people in these cells, most of them had been in jail plenty of times before, and they had all developed these friendships based on, the fact that they'd all been in jail, that they were all kind of criminals, Me, I wasn't really a criminal. I mean, I wasn't even in there for anything. They all knew that. I told them, I told them that they threw me in jail for, even though I didn't do anything. I mean, I didn't get caught with a gram of heroin, or I didn't get caught walking out of Walmart with speakers or something, I mean, like all these other guys. I didn't get caught with a stolen car or whatever. So, yeah, so they were picking on me, really, is what they were doing. Anyway, so to get back to the subject, right? Even though that's an interesting subject, there's a lot of interesting things I'm going to have to say about jail. And I'll cover it all in the next few weeks. I'll just wiggle it in with all the other stuff, because we talk a lot about criminal justice in the news anyway, so I'll just fit it in. So, if it wasn't for the fact that some people, and I wouldn't take anything, people would offer me their toothpaste or their stuff, but one guy was leaving, and I said to him when he was leaving, you offered to give me your deodorant, because that was the only thing I really was worried about. I figured if you didn't exercise or anything, you didn't really need deodorant. But that's bullshit, I'll tell you right now. I mean, you start to stink if you do not wear deodorant, at least if you're used to it. And so I started trying to not use so much deodorant before, in anticipation of running out, because they didn't steal my deodorant. I still had my deodorant. I forget what they stole. Anyway, immediately I realized, oh God, I really stink. So I put on some deodorant and I stopped stinking. It was kind of hard though. I had to go to the bathroom, to the shower, and wash under my arms a couple of times before I finally got rid of the stink. I mean, people really do smell. I'd forgotten how much people smell. I mean, yeah, you forget your deodorant once in a while, and yeah, you can smell yourself. That's one thing. But go ahead and try it, man. Try going out without deodorant. See if you don't really smell. So, there was that. So I was going to the tower and saying, you guys, I need some deodorant. I need some soap. I think I was missing my soap. Anyway, so, they wouldn't give me anything. And I didn't know how to make a phone call. You have to pay. And as it turned out, my mother had come to the jail and put $100 in my account, but I didn't know it. So I kept going to them and saying, I need to make a phone call. You know, my mother's going to be worried sick about me in here. And I'm even more worried about her. She's nearly 80 years old. I want to know that she's okay. Because she's not healthy and she could have a stroke or something worrying about me being in jail. I mean, she was scared to death. She was more scared than I was. I mean, I wasn't scared at all, to be quite honest. You know, to me, jail was just one more experience in life, you know. So, and as it turned out, it wasn't horrendous. Nobody beat me up, nobody raped me, nobody did anything to me. Guards were nasty, they were mean, they were obnoxious without being rude. They weren't allowed to be rude, you know. So they wouldn't give me a phone call. They wouldn't give me a phone call. I kept on telling them, I want to call my mother. Can you call my mother? Can you call my mother and just tell her I'm okay and that I wish I could talk to her, but I don't have any way to talk to her. And after a couple days, it was even maybe a week, that I figured out I had money in my account and I was able to talk to my mom and all that kind of stuff. And I'll get more into how that money works and the money that they make a shitload of money off of the inmates. And a lot of the inmates, the more you've been in jail, the more you figure out how to get around that. But they still get you for a long time until you do figure it out. But eventually, I found out how to use the phone. But what if I didn't have a mother? What if I didn't have anybody to put $100 in my account? Which is what she did. And of course immediately it was $72. That's why I say 23, actually 27 of it was they took it. They took it to pay for my pair of underwear and my t-shirt and my toothpaste and stuff that got stolen from me, and all of that stuff is how it got knocked down to $72 immediately. And I immediately realized that, hey, they're going to keep on yanking all this money out. And I took it all and put it into the telephone. That way they couldn't take it. So I was really smart, but you know, just because you're smart doesn't mean you're experienced. And believe me, they make no effort. You know, if you go to college, they have something called what do you call it? Oh, orientation. Orientation, that's where they kind of give you an idea. And you don't even need it in college, because there's nothing to be orientated to. There's nothing radically unusual about going to college. But believe me, there's a whole lot of things radically unusual. Now, they stop and ask you on the second or third day you're there if you've ever been raped, which is something that rarely, if ever, would happen to you in jail. I think they actually try to promote the idea that it does occur, because they want to make you, I mean, I got the distinct impression that they want you to be as afraid. You know, they want to make your time in jail as unpleasant as possible, within the rules and within reason, because even they are reasonable to a certain extent. So if they can scare you, you know, they would do it. So this bullshit, I mean, we were just watching this video.
Inmates receive 3 packages containing 8 sanitary pads.
Okay, you don't get any of that. That's bullshit. That's this bitch Anna. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. When did she ever go to jail, right? They don't give you sanitary napkins. One of the guys in my cell had a girlfriend who went to jail with him, and she was in another part of the jail. She didn't get anything, and she was writing him letters saying that the girls all hate her in her cell because she stinks. You know, this is part of what I'm talking about. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I'm going to go into more detail about this, but basically, the jail, they have a perfect setup. It's like communism. Everybody, you know, you dress the same, you get exactly the same food, everything. But then, to make money, the jail has all these contractors, and they come in 3 nights a week with chips and drinks, and one night a week they sell pizzas and hamburgers and stuff, and those people create all kinds of problems because they're all trading this shit. You know, coffee is like cigarettes. There's no cigarettes because there's no smoking in jail. You better not be a big smoker. Man, the heroin addicts, you should have seen them. And one guy came down with hepatitis. Well, the guy who had the girlfriend that I told you about. And he was a good friend of mine. I mean, we made friends like real fast. Because he was relatively cool, even though he was a bit of a, yeah, like to act tough. But anyway. So, you know, I mean, the jail situation itself would be perfect if they just did the jail. But they did all this. It's like they introduced capitalism into a communist situation. You know, under communism, it ran perfectly. I mean, there were still little things that people would argue about how we took care of the shower, you know, whether you use soap or not. People would complain to me because I don't use soap very often. You know, I use deodorant and stuff like that, but I don't usually wash with soap. I just clean myself off with water, and it has always worked for me. But, you know, once you're in a jail and you got to share a shower between 12 people, and I agreed. You know, this guy was just raising hell with me, this one black guy. And I told him, oh, fine, E. His name was E. His name was Emmett. Fucking hillbilly name for a black guy. But anyway, I just said to him, fine, you're right. You know, there's 12 of us. I will use soap when I go in the shower. Because, I mean, if you use soap, when you're done, there's a soapiness about the shower, rather than a shittiness, right? Because what are you doing in the shower? You're washing your armpits and your ass, right? Maybe your mouth out. So, in my opinion, it all went down the drain, and as long as you ran the water long enough, you really didn't leave anything behind. But, you know, when you got 12 people all together, you gotta make compromises. And so I did. But, going back to the original conversation here, they really don't do anything. And, you know, I mean, unless they get paid. So, like, you know, if you wanted soap, you had to fill out an like extra stuff. Well, if you wanted shampoo, and if you wanted, what was it that I was running out? Oh, yeah, if you wanted deodorant, you wanted toothpaste, you had to pay for it. And I thought that was ridiculous. I mean, it just seems to me like toothpaste and deodorant are two things that they should have to give you. Just like they gave us, but in their opinion, it was just soap and toilet paper. I don't agree. I don't agree. They should have to give you, and if your comb breaks, like my comb, or if you lose your comb or your little pen, they won't give you a pen because it could be used as a weapon, but they give you the little rubber thing with the ink and the pen thing on the end. They give that to you. Well, all those things that they gave you, that they charged you for when you came in, they shouldn't have charged you, and they shouldn't, but they gotta meet their budget, and they don't give a shit. And as far as they're concerned, just like most of the other people in this city, you're just a criminal. No compassion for the fact that, hey, you might be innocent, right? I mean, if you don't think innocent people end up in jail, that's bullshit. And for sure, most of the people that I've met in jail certainly didn't deserve to be in there. Most of them. I mean, people who do heroin, people who do pot, people who do drugs to escape reality. I don't see it. People who got arrested for something that they didn't do, and then once they got arrested, the cops treated them unfairly. They got into a fight with the cops, and now they're looking at 10 years in jail because they got pissed off. You hit a cop resisting arrest, it's 3 years or something. I don't remember, but this guy was looking at 10 years in jail just because he got pissed off at the cops and fought with them. Once he was arrested, he didn't even fight them about being arrested because he knew he was innocent. They had blamed him they had found him with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend had a bloody nose. Well, it was nothing to do with him, and she didn't file any charges against him, but they treated him like he was a physically violent person, and then when they got him in jail, he got mad, that they were doing all this shit to him. So all I'm saying is that your idea of jails, like they take care of you to a certain level, no, they don't. What they do is they build up this huge bill with you. They charge you for everything. And I refuse to have anything to do with it. Because I immediately, I may not be experienced in being a guy in jail, but, well, I'm a smart guy. And I immediately saw what was going on in there. And I said, nope. Everybody else was, okay, I had $100, so I decided to throw the 72 that was left into the phone. And I made that last 2 months and 10 days. I served 3 months, but I got 20 days off, 10 days a month for good behavior. Got out in 2 months and 10 days. But they charge you 14 cents a minute for phone calls. And I ended up actually, I have to go collect it. There's $17 left in the account. And I paid it. My mom put it in, but when I got out, I gave her the $100. I wouldn't let her pay something like that. That was just... Anyway. So that's how it really is. That's what's really going on in these jails. So this is Martin Drummond with Progressive News. Trying to impart truth to you. And I hate to say I'm lucky, but yeah, I ended up in jail. I'm able to tell you about it. I hope you enjoyed my segment. Thanks for watching.